There's always like the people that walk through and they're like, your truck is nicer than my apartment.
Originally, it was an ambulance for the Oregon Fire Department.
It took about 2 months to actually build the box, the frame and all the welding and everything.
Over here, we have way more counter space than we had in our old rig. We did a custom epoxy countertop. I like to say that this truck feels like an escape room. And over here we have the switch for the bed. I'm Jess.
And I'm Shawn, and we are Crux and Beta.
And we just sold our van that we lived in for the last 5.5 years.
And now we live in this.
We've been living on the road now for almost 6 years. We've been in our new truck for about 6 months. We were first inspired to live on the road and not be stuck in one place so that we could get to travel and climb. We want to be able to climb full time. It's not really realistic, but if we live on the road, we have a lot more time. We don't have rent to pay. So with less bills, we can work less and have more time for fun. So crux is the hardest part of the problem when it comes to climbing, and beta is how you solve it. So we felt like before van life that there were so many cruxes in our lives of just like working full time, never seeing each other, never having time for our pets, never having time for climbing. And it was like so many things that like you can complain about. And then we're like, how do we solve all this? How do we reverse our, our work to be the weekend and our weekend to be the week? And we're like, oh, the beta is van life, like to move into the van, get on the road. So Crux and Beta just became our Instagram handle and our adventures on the road.
First, we spent a good probably 2 months just locating the truck that we wanted. When we got it, it had a sleeper cab and a truck bed on the back of it, which we had to remove. Originally, it was an ambulance for the Oregon Fire Department. Luckily, we had a connection through a friend to be in a warehouse in Colorado through the winter where we were able to build in the warehouse.
Building the actual box was never the plan. We really wanted to find a box and just build the inside. And then we couldn't find a box. I was like, Shawn, you should just make the box. Like, you know how to weld? He's like, oh God, no, don't ask me to make the box. Like, that's a whole other thing. Like, I'm not doing that. And turned out, he's like, guess we're making the box. Like, we got no other options. So that was just like a huge undertaking. With the little things that went wrong, like so much went right. As long as it doesn't fall off the truck.
If anything, it's probably overbuilt.
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
The box build itself took about 2 months. This is after planning and everything. It took about 2 months to actually build the box, the frame and all the welding and everything. And then once the framing on the outside was done, we started doing all the installation and everything inside, and that was another six months or so.
This is our 2008 Chevy Kodiak C4500 with a custom fabricated box that is 12 feet long, 8 feet wide, 8 feet tall, and we have a 3-foot attic. When we sold our van, we intended on getting a box truck. We were just going to buy the box, not build it, but we couldn't find the box size that we wanted. So we did end up building it, but one of the things behind it was so that if we had truck problems, we would be able to take the box off and transfer it to a different vehicle, or just put it on a piece of land at some point and just keep it for as long as we wanted it for. And that was kind of the big draw to getting the bigger rig. So when we first got the truck, it had a sleeper cab on it and a truck bed on it, which we removed. Before that in its life, it was an ambulance for the Oregon Fire Department, which is why it has the air horns and the strobes. The air horns did not work when we got it, but it had to be the first thing we did. It's a steel frame box, completely sheeted with aluminum on the outside. We custom made all the doors for it. We have a door in the back and on the side, as well as a pass-through into the cab. We also have some fold-down steps on both sides to be able to access the attic space and get onto the roof. So this vent is actually something that we came up with for this rig. It basically creates a vacuum inside of our wall. There's a fan behind this that sucks air out from inside our cabinet that has our water heater, as well as the storage for our toilet, so that it just ventilates everything out from the inside. We also have a shower exhaust vent up yonder to suck all the moisture out of the shower. Side stairs are not touching the ground. They fold up flush with the truck. We also have an underbody toolbox on both sides, one window on each side and a window on the back door as well as some pull-out stairs for the back that do rest on the ground. So one of the biggest challenges with the build was definitely the doors. Since we built custom doors, we had to figure out a way to make them the right thickness because they aren't standardized like a normal RV door, as well as install latches, which we had to customize in order to make work. So we also added a door catch, which is magnetic, so it'll hold the door open in moderate winds. And as you can see, there's a handle on the bottom of the door because the door is so high up when you open it that it's hard to pull on. So we added handles lower down to assist. On the roof, we have 800 watts of solar that recharge our 600 amp hours of battery bank. The driver's side, we have a matching window to the passenger side, as well as our water fill. We also have our shore power tucked away underneath here. Another toolbox. So in here we store our hose, 2 barbecue propane tanks. We have a spare for when the one runs out unexpectedly. And we also have an air hose, which I can use for whatever I want. And we can use it to fill our tires or dust something off with some air, whatever. All right, and here's Jess with the interior.
Our side door here doubles as our shower. So not only is it an entryway, wet room, shower, it's also our bathroom. We have a curtain that blocks off the inside and a curtain that blocks off the door. We could shower with the door open if we want. We store our towels here and just remove them when it gets wet in here. And up here, we have lots of storage for toiletries, shampoo, conditioner, all that good stuff. We have a fan up top while we're showering that takes out all the moisture. We hide our toilet in this space. So we just pull the bucket out, use it in here, tuck it away. Now it's hidden. So a lot of people ask why we have this. So because the shower head has a hose in here, when we were using it, we felt like water was dripping, it was getting wet. So when we put the hose away, that's just a little drain for the water. So right here we have the pass-through into the cab space, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to insulate it, but also have a way for our cats to pass through. So we added this kitty corner. You just pull up on it, and voila. Now the front is insulated. And then here I have what I really wanted to put into this build, and that is a vanity. So we have broom storage, stool storage, but also a space for me to store all of my jewelry that I make and wear. So it just tucks away. Up here, we decided to do bifold doors because we added this beautiful sconce here. So in order to not hit the light bulbs, the door opens like that. Lots of shoe storage, winter gear. Below that, we have a large closet for hanging clothes. And then, child locks on everything. I have a workspace for making jewelry and storing all of the parts. And then a lot more storage for clothes down there below. Because we have so much height in here, we decided to add the water tank below and a false floor step here in the middle. So we have a 57-gallon tank of water underneath there, along with our propane heater, and it vents out both sides of the step to fill the space with heat. So here's the kitchen area. Over here we have way more counter space than we had in our old rig. We did a custom epoxy countertop with dried flowers and some other trinkets that we saved over the years, butterflies and shells and things like that. In our garden, if you saw our van before, you knew that we had a green onion garden, so we continued that. And this is our refrigerator. I wanted it to look like an old kind of cabinetry where you would store your wine glasses, okay? So we kind of did this vibe here, but it also doubled as ventilation for the refrigerator, with a little bit of storage on the side there. And what's cool about this refrigerator is the lids come off completely. So that's convenient. And up here, we have a hidden drawer that opens. I like to say that this truck feels like an escape room. So when you have that lost corner in your cabinet, you create a drawer. We have our food storage in here. And on this side, we have our dishes and more food. We added little custom things like to the top here. I wanted crown molding, so we have that around the closet as well. Little things that you might see in a home, I wanted to incorporate in here so it didn't feel like you were in a rig. We wanted to do a timbre door over here, like kind of like an old bread box, if you remember those at your grandparents' house. So we had some extra walnut pieces, and Shawn was able to kind of create the look of a timbre door without actually creating a timbre door, for more storage above the shower. Now on this side, we decided to do a 2-burner stove to free up some counter space. I like that it goes from front to back. And we have a lot of storage actually over here. There's always space in front of the sink that you kind of lose, and usually we just cover it up. I'm like, oh, make it look nice. But this one actually functions to store our sponges and dishcloths. And if you've never seen one of these before, you should get one, because it actually helps a lot with extra counter space or as a dish drying rack. So I have plenty of headspace here in this space over the step where we store the water and the heater. But if you step down here, same amount of headspace. Since we added an elevator bed here, having that step down, you won't hit your head. A big complaint with van life is missing your couch. So I felt like in the truck, I wanted to have deep benches, big pillows, so you get that feel of like just coming home and sinking into the couch. Below the couches, we have lots of storage space. If you just take the cushions off, open the lid, you can get things in and out of there. Here we have a little kitty cutout. So the cats are actually able to run in there, hide if they want to, sleep in there. If they go through the bench and over into this space, they have the height of the step and the height of this cabinet to be able to use their litter box. So in here we were able to have a full-size bed. In the van we had to lose 6 inches of space for our Murphy bed. In here we were able to have the full width of a bed, full length of a bed. And because it's 8 feet wide, we had so much room over here that I wanted to create more storage. So we did shelves here. The very top is where we have our bed motor. The rest of it is just fun, cameras, binoculars, electrical stuff, books, you name it. And to add to kind of making this place feel like a home, I really wanted to do like some kind of decorative wall of a bunch of picture frames. So I'm starting my collection over here. And in this space, we wanted to have a decorative wall and also a decorative ceiling. This came from something I saw on Pinterest, and I really wanted to incorporate it, but I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to. And Shawn said, let's go for it. So we actually milled down like huge chunks of walnut into these really thin, smooth slats, and I think it came out great. He actually added, it's called a pressure switch, on the bed. So when the bed goes up, it turns the switch on and these lights illuminate. And when the bed comes down, the pressure switch comes apart and those lights turn off, because there was no reason to have these lights lit when the bed was down. In order to put the bed down, we just tuck the pillows. And over here we have the switch for the bed. So we take the bed all the way down until it hits the armrests for added support. I'm gonna let Shawn explain how the bed works, since he did a custom elevator bed without buying a special kit for it.
So instead of buying one of the pre-made store-bought, like the Happy Jack lifts or whatever, we decided to make our own kit. We did it using 2-inch seatbelt strap, which is mounted at the top in both of these corners, and then runs down under the bed, under a set of custom rollers that we made, and then back up and over another wheel at the top in the ceiling, where it then goes back and wraps around a shaft that runs through this whole upper cabinet, which is driven by a motor with a chain and 2 gears. So when the gears are turning, it winds the shaft up and the straps wrap around the bar and it pulls the bed up.
When we initially started building the bed would go up unevenly, or we realized that it could swing away from the wall. So we also added some linear guide rails along the back wall to help it stay nice and straight when it goes up and down. One of the biggest draws to doing this ourselves was not only the cleanliness of the system and not having to mount things to walls, because if we had the Happy Jack, we would have had to had the bed go all the way to that wall and had the track on the wall and wouldn't be able to have all the storage up here. So we did this, and instead of having to spend $5,000 on a Happy Jack setup, this cost about 300 bucks.
I know that whenever we go to like van shows and whatever, and there's always like the people that walk through and they're like, you know, I didn't think I could do this, but I think I could after seeing this build, you know, like your truck is nicer than my apartment. When people realize like the build can be whatever you want it to be, you know, whether it's gonna be short time or long time or a home, or, you know, like if you're just using it for the weekends or whatever, but it's always really inspiring for us to build something that inspires others to be able to even consider the lifestyle.
If you like this week's episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check back soon because we have new unique home tours publishing all the time. And if you'd like to join our team and get access to members-only content and unique perks, make sure you click on the join button below.